episode 127. Blowing out someone else's candle ain't gonna make yours shine brighter.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
It's Tuesday, folks, so only one day away from hump day. My God, I hate it. As someone that works pretty much every freaking day in a variety of ways, it's very difficult to, make your week's peaks on a Wednesday or Thursday or Monday or whatever. Anyhow, long story short, welcome to the very best podcast in the world, your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. That being said, I will start to bother you again with sharing episodes because I have received over the past couple of months the most positive feedback from new listeners who said they were referred to by someone in their local, in their spheres of influence, right? So by a family member, friend, or whatever that found an episode on this podcast that was important to them, and they thought that this person, this new listener, would benefit, and most of them did, right? So the feedback was insanely interesting and motivating to carry on, only to then kind of pressure you. Because, the episode doesn't necessarily have to be important for yourself. It's about, someone that might benefit from it in your, friends, family, coworkers, colleagues, whatever, to share it with them. To improve their life. Don't be so egoistic. And if you're new to the show and you haven't subscribed and you're kind of deciding whether or not to, give it a chance, give it a fair chance, listen to a few episodes. Some, might be not as interesting as others to you, but you'll get the hang of it and the what I'm trying to convey here, hopefully. So, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Go to the very best podcast in the world.com. There you will find under each and every episode a large variety of subscribing platforms. Wherever you get your podcasts, make sure to hit that and subscribe and become a member of a constantly growing community from, pretty much, I think every country in the world has someone from, essentially someone from every country in this world. I think we were at 195. I think that's pretty much all nation states that we have, has someone from every nation has heard this podcast, found that very interesting. That being said, today's episode, blowing out someone else's candle won't make yours shine brighter, right? It just ain't gonna. The moment you put someone down for whatever they have done, you're digging your own grave, period. I'm going to go back to an example I've illustrated many times. I've taken this guy, for all he's worth, as an example multiple times, because he was such a narcissistic asshole from his character perspective, and I had to work with him, unfortunately. And there was no way of helping the guy, right? So here's where it gets interesting. The moment you judge someone, you attempt to strengthen your ego. And you do that for the people around you, be it judging someone, be it making fun of someone, right? And a lot of times, these are people who If you observe that, a lot of times it's people that don't really need to do that. And that's where it gets interesting, where they're usually good looking. They've got a certain financial security. But from that, I think, grows a personal insecurity that they need to feed their ego by putting other people down. And in my opinion, I think if someone does that, they're the most despicable person there is. Because here's where the circle closes. If you're good looking, if you have a certain financial background, if you've got security, if you're successful in life, sure, there are those who have stepped over a certain amount of bodies to reach it, or to come to that, or to arrive at that level. But it's time for payback. It's time for those people to give back, to help by what they were gifted with, by the grace of whatever. They're healthy, they're influential, they're good looking, they're charismatic, and it's about uplifting people. It's not about judging them. It's not about making fun of them. You don't need that. And every person who does that, again, I think is quite a despicable fool. So, if you judge someone, you label them, period. Unknowingly, it may be so. You also label yourself, because by judging someone, you attempt, again, to strengthen your ego by putting them down. Okay? So that's a very important point. Let that sink in, right? You're elevating yourself, you're putting someone else down, period. Now, let's take this into a perspective where let's take this in a professional, take this to the professional environment, right? You scream at someone, at one of your subordinates, because they fucked up, right? Now, first things first, if your subordinates fuck up, you fucked up. You, as the leader, have failed if your subordinates do something wrong. Period. No discussions. I'm hearing literally mental thoughts. Yeah, but they're not idiots. You're the idiot, right? If your subordinate screwed up, you did something wrong. Period. That's end of the discussion, right? But then, if you don't realize that, you're going to be one of these macho screamers chewing on your subordinates, possibly so loud that everyone else hears it and is frightened of you, to come to you to ask for help. And that's what your role in leadership is about elevating people, helping people to grow, excelling their career. That's what a true leader does, and that's what this asshole was very good at. He was about spreading fear through his authority, his presumed authority. His role in the organization was such that he, could, at the touch of a button, fire people. He had that liberty, despite the fact that he hadn't done anything to establish that company. He was one of these hire and fire kind of CEOs to improve things. And he was all about this, right? He was all about spreading fear, like I said, and making everyone live in fear. But he didn't really get to me because I was kind of sick and tired of the contract that I was on, for quite a while. So I couldn't care less if he terminated my contract, which he did, and due to the fact that I didn't really care, he made it so that, I was supposed to feel it. So he sent a termination of contract notice to my email at Christmas Eve, and just to make sure, that it was a Christmas present, it was something special that he got to fire me. And I didn't respond to the email. He had an array of things that he wanted done. And I was on official holiday leave, so I ignored his email until I got back, which was like a week and a half later. I think I returned and to Asia, and it was like the dude was, yeah, then he kind of wanted me to stay there until, whatever, but didn't have anything for me to do. Now, fortunately, it was a very good situation to live in, and I didn't really bother. Anyhow, long story short, it was an interesting experience to work with a person like that. I did, sit down with him later, years later, and there was we coincidentally met, and I said, you're the biggest jerk I've ever worked with. And he was totally flabbergasted, that I took these words into my inferior mouth, and it was this very interesting experience to see his reaction, right? So these people, usually when they're outside of the professional environment and they get critiqued, they take criticism there, they're not all that powerful. They're powerful because they are in the position. They have to create and distribute fear, and, and that's really not what it's about in leadership, right? So you don't blow out someone else's candle. Let's go berserk and say you add gasoline to it to make them shine even fucking brighter, right? That's your position in leadership, and that makes you a decent person and not some kind of fuck up. Now let's take this into, your private family setting where we still, have a lot of guys that need to do the macho thing and, belittle their wives or, their partners. And it's the same thing there. There's a reason that someone is together with a strong woman. It's because they help them. They empower them, right? And they give them the freedom to achieve their goals, right? And if you can't be with a powerful woman that is equal to you, then you're not that big of a guy, really, honestly. And so there's this, I could go over many different settings, but the essence really of this episode is, yeah, sure, you can blow out someone else's candle, but it's not going to make yours shine brighter. It's really going to make you look to someone with an understanding like a complete idiot. In that sense, this was very testosterone ridden, I want to say. But at the end of the day, you know where I'm coming from with this. So in that sense, again, I'm going to bother you every day now at the beginning and the end of the episode. Share this episode with someone that you think could benefit from it. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast. And yeah, we'll be in touch tomorrow when we're going to talk about, I think we're going to talk about common sense tomorrow. It's actually in the lineup. Let's see. Maybe something better comes to my mind. In that sense, have a successful rest of your Tuesday. And on Wednesday, tomorrow, we're going to be back. Until then, take care and stay safe and peace out. And we'll be in touch tomorrow.